All right, so the question today that I'm answering is what is Brian Flores doing on defense that's making the Vikings so difficult to play against? People made news stories that Brock Purdy went up to him after the game and said, wow, they're doing phenomenal things. And obviously, the Vikings have had a really good start to their season. They weren't thought of as a team that was going to come in hot. So, what is it that Brian Flores is doing? So, I've been through this film now twice. I've watched it as I cut it up and then went through a couple of the plays. And rather than watch all 80 defensive snaps or whatever there are, I figured I would just watch what are all the incompletions, interceptions, and sacks. And let's take a look at what he's doing that's giving C.J. Stroud and the Texans some issues. And my first thoughts were that, one, the defense is very fluid. There's a lot of movement. Very rarely do you get exactly what you saw at the beginning here. A lot of different looks. A lot of five-man pressures, and the four-man pressures tend to have stunts attached to them, and definitely some moving coverages as well. So, if we even just look at this play right now, so this is play 3 of the game, you can see initially they're in a sugar look right here, right? You've got those 6 walked up along the front, right? That's setting one call for the offensive line. Then they're going to back out, and right now we'll call this an over front because I know the tight end's not attached, but they've got the 3 set to the tight end. And then they bring a linebacker off that weak side now, and they add in, right? So, they end up bringing 5. They don't really get home, but there's a lot of pre-snap movement, and that affects the coverages as well, right? Originally, Harrison Smith was a little further off. The linebackers were up. Now the linebackers are up, and Harrison Smith is up as well. Now the will's coming, and Harrison Smith is actually working over a little bit. The Mike and Harrison Smith are actually working towards each other right now. So there's a lot of different stuff going on from the defense. Definitely very fluid, right? You can see how much movement there is on this defense. And if I remember correctly, I think this was just a tip ball. It really should have been a completion, to be honest, but it's a tip ball, so you end up getting the pick. That's always nice as the defense. Looking at the next one here again, you can see originally they've got these linebackers. They were walked up, as we can see them backing up right now. Right now we get him to slide into a 1. He pushes them over, meaning the Mike is sending the lineman back the other way, and then they bring pressure from that 3-tech side. Right? So originally they had set this is the low tech, this is the high tech. They shift them over, and then they bring him from the new high tech, right? So they bring a 5th. Right? Definitely a lot of moving parts for an offense to deal with. Okay, on the back end, a decent amount of too high shell from Flores. Definitely a lot of too high shell, which is, as everyone has noted this year, is kind of now the norm with some of the high scoring offenses, and defense is starting to try to keep things in front of them again. Tony Dungy would be proud, getting a lot of those too high looks and telling the offense, hey, we're going to make you drive 20 plays if you want to be successful on us. So that's not unique here to Brian Flores. Now up again, we can see 5 across the front. They end up dropping 43 to our side and bringing the Mike delayed. So this is another creative blitz right here, right? Where they've got these 5 walked up with him high off the edge and the tight end to this side. You would think the line would slide this way, and then they bail him out and send him. Right? Definitely some movement here. Pretty simple cover 4 behind it, nothing overly complex, and it always helps here. Part of what's also happening is based on this guy being in a 4, instead of the end being wide like a traditional even front, right? This guy now says, hey, you have to tell the tight end, you've got him. I'm sliding in case he takes B gap, right? So that's exactly what happens. He slides in to take B. You get a tight end on a pass rusher, singled up. That's not an ideal scenario. And then you bring 51 through the gap too. Blake Cashman, I believe that is, also coming through. You really had, 2 good opportunities. You got a pass rusher on a tight end. You got a linebacker blitzing on a bound, a delayed blitz on a back. You've got some good opportunities here, right? That's a good sack. That's a good blitz. Okay, again, walk-ups. Looks like they can bring 5 right here. Too high shell. Couple nice things you can see here. One, you can see right here they do have a guy playing high over the top. He's just trying to keep this guard high. He does 2 things right here. One, he can spy the quarterback, but that's not really what they're doing with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's not a runner. Is they're creating lanes here, right? You're creating changes in depth, right? If you get one defensive end way up the field and another D tackle up the field with him, and the offensive line's at the same level, it's easy to maintain that pocket. When you create separation in levels, you create angles for other guys to get through. We get that on the far side here too, right? Watch the stunt coming in here. Bang, stunts in, and that's what put him potentially in the quarterback's path, even though the ball comes out, right? They're creating different levels. This guy from the far side of the blitz right here, him holding on, not holding on to, but occupying kind of the point of the protection right now while he drives through and he drives through means that he can come through free because this guy's not going to slide all the way down with it and create more of a traffic jam. So Blake Cashman's just trying to occupy the guard to let that defensive end come free off the edge. Okay, we see 5 up front. They actually drop the far side guy this time, and if I remember correctly, they bring Cashman on this side now, right? Is this Cashman? Yeah. So you can see the 5-man front right across here. There's another edge guy here. Right, but it's going to end up being essentially an overload because they're going to bring 1, 2, 3 from this side, and really that's 4. I know he's working across to the front side, but he ends up in the weak side A gap because right the line is sliding to the overhang blitzer right now. Actually, they're running a play action off of a power action, but either way, he ends up on the weak side A gap. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4 to a side right now, which turns a guy loose. C.J. Stroud does a pretty good job keeping on his feet and at least giving himself a shot at this one. It's a pretty impressive throw, given the fact that the hand is on him, even though it wasn't complete. All right, they're a little late getting their too high look. That's okay, right? Originally, they're down, they're low. Not as much movement here. They're still showing 5 across the front. They bring 5, right? And then behind it, they're playing cover 4. Excuse me, I think they're playing cover 2. Playing 2 behind it. Let's take a look here. Do they stunt for this one too? I wasn't watching the front this time. A little bit, yeah. Right, so they're going to stunt from here. Right, occupy, then go over. There it is. Right, those interior twists and stunts. Most plays, they've got something going on up front. Okay, I mean, right now we can see, again, unusual alignments. Defensive end really wide, defensive end really wide. 2 linebackers walked up here, 1 over there. Right, so right now I would say that this has got to become cover 1. Right, because we got man playing from outside leverage. Man over the top of the tight end, he's in, he can go. Which would mean, if they're only going to bring 4, 1, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4... that means he has got to drop into the middle, and he's got the back. Right? And that's exactly what happens. Okay, so you can see the safety spin into cover 1, right? He drops down to the middle. He goes high. He's got the back, but because the back doesn't release, he ends up in the middle. He ends up dropping down to play the role of a robber, which is why he can play outside leverage. And they're just relying on the front. Again, another twist and stunt, right? You can see it coming from these 2 here. Press and then try to replace. The guard finds it this time. You got 6-man protection against 4. You would think at the NFL level you pick that up more often than not. But defensively, it certainly gives you an opportunity to, rip a free run here. Right, we'll see the stunt come from this side. Right, as he looks to occupy, and then he's going to look to loop around. So again, we're seeing a very fluid defense, a lot of motion. Oh, that's just the spike. A lot of pre-snap movement. Okay, here's an interesting one. We're getting a kind of inverted cover 2 where we get high, and he becomes the whole player in the middle, kind of that pre-snap Mike. Right, the Mike would have in cover 2 dropped down the middle of the field. They're going to start with him high and then drop him down. I've seen teams call this different stuff. I've normally called it Tampa 3 because it's like a Tampa defense, but you're starting with 3 high, even though it's not 3 high. It's really just a whole player, right? But now the corners are still your flat players, and up front, what are you doing? You're just looking to stunt again, which is what they do. You can see those long sticks. 43 is going to come from the edge, and he's going to work all the way to the middle, and that's going to leave him free, right? There's the sack. So we see a lot of long sticks, a lot of pre-snap and post-snap movement coming from the Vikings. Yeah, I mean, that's nice. Right, you would normally think as an offensive line, or as an offensive unit, if we've got 3 to block 3, 1, 2, 3 to block 1, 2, 3, we should feel good about that on our zone side. But if they can occupy the inside most guy and bring him all the way around, that's very difficult to kick this across 3 guys to pass that off, especially once they're already occupied. So that 3-man long stick's tough to beat. That's a good scheme. All right, single high here. right? They show 43 here off the edge, but then they bring what it looks like it's going to be Harrison Smith coming late, right? This is the earliest portion of the play, but we can see him walking up late. 43 makes it look like he's going, and then it's Harrison Smith coming free. Oh my God, that's genius right now. So what they've done is they're trying to do this to the high side, meaning to the 3-tech, right? The 3-tech is set. Let me do this from the end zone view. This is a great blitz, right? Right now, the offense is thinking, we got a 1, a 3, and a 5, and we got to handle this guy on the backside right now, right? That becomes the defensive end. So what Brian Flores is saying to the offense, saying, okay, what I'm going to make you do is I'm going to bring him off the edge, and we know that we're going to get a 3-tech and a 7 based off the fact that the tight end is to this side. Now, when we do that, what's going to happen is if I bring Harrison Smith off the edge, that means the tackle has to go take Harrison Smith, which means the guard has to get all the way to a 7-tech, which in protection, that's hard. That's some hard stuff right now, right? So I've got to imagine it's the defensive end coming through there. I mean, that's not a matchup that the guard is going to be able to get to very often. That's a really well-designed blitz. Right, and there you go. That's creating angles for defensive players. The right guard's got a tough job on that one. Right, so a lot of show and then come from the other side. Okay, single high this time. But they're actually spinning to 2 here. Yeah, this is, watch, he's going to let the receiver go. He's going to work to this side, and this corner is going to have to roll high. He ends up with 2 short routes, so he doesn't go crazy on it, but he's actually playing 2. He's the high safety to his side right now. He's the high safety to this side. You see him let him go. And that's where you try to get the little bump down, the little check down. Yeah, I mean, that's a long rotation as well right there. Again, they showed 5. And you see they bring down Harrison Smith late here. He looks like a defensive end right now. 43 is here too. So they lined up with 2 off of this side now, and then they're just going to drop him. Yeah, he's going to come free off the edge. They're creating angles. They're creating numbers through pre- and post-snap movement. A lot of it. A lot of it. Now, it looks better than what it is because we're only watching the successful plays right now. But, I think that's an interesting way to study. All right, 2 high shell. Looks like 5. They're going to drop 43 off. Yep. They bring the other 4. No long stick this time. Nothing crazy. A little bit more straightforward in the coverage this time. Good job up front. They get the deflection. Right, we can see the Mike go down the middle of the field. 44 here. He drops down the middle. Cover 2. Right, keeping everything in front of them. That was by far the most standard vanilla play that we've seen so far. We've seen them in a lot of different fronts, a lot of different looks. I mean, we're seeing now a little bit more of the play, and if there was any movement, it looks like there was a little bit of movement, not a ton. All right, looks like we're getting cover 4 with an overhang. Sugar look up front. This will be interesting. I don't remember what this one is. We get Sugar up front here, stacking the A-gaps, right? And they bring all 6. Yep. So I don't know if this was something they determined pre or post snap or pre or post call right now. But there are some teams when they get empty, 5 up front, they just say, you know what? We're not going to drop back and let you try to, have a long developing play. We're just going to bring 6. Right? We call this, defense might call code 0 or something, and they're just going to send 6 and say, we're coming after you right now, and we're going to make you get the ball out. We're not going to make our DBs cover for more than a second or 2. Right? And it makes it hard for C.J. Stroud to make this throw. Yeah, it should have been complete, but I mean, not a great throw. But that's the defense creating pressure to make life difficult. Right? So that makes sense. My guess is that was a call that was made based off the formation once the offense shown it. I don't think they called a 6-man blitz there. There they go. Look, they're showing 4 with 43 up, and then they're going to bail him off and bring from the other side. There it is. They don't get there. Good job in protection. But this is a way of them, again, they're rolling a 2 here again. Look, they're rolling a 2. He is the high half player over here. He's going to become the high half player, and the Mike has got to run with 3 vertical, which is exactly what happens. He's playing cover 2 over the height of these 2 guys. They know the Mike is locked on 3. He's playing high half to that side. So this is what Brian Flores is now doing, is he's finding a way to try to create pressure from a cover 2 look. I've talked before about how difficult it is to blitz from cover 2. You can't bring a 5th. You can only really bring 4 if you want to play the coverage in a sound way. And so Brian Flores is saying, well, I'm going to create pressure out of cover two by confusing you as to where the fourth guy is coming from, and I'm going to rotate to cover two, and that's what you get. Small window there. The Texans might have had a shot at this one. Small window there, but it's a very interesting coverage. Watch, 43 is going to bail out, and now they bring an extra guy off the edge. All right, two high shell. They're wide. I was like, this has got to be third and long. This is 3rd and 8. Wide front. You can see who the 4 are that look like they're coming. They're going to drop down to 2. No. Again, just 2. So do they have anything unusual to create pressure here? No, they go straight at it. This is another fairly vanilla cover 2, at least by NFL standards. Good job by the Mike here, right? Look at the Mike. He's climbing. He's opening to the back initially. When the back goes across, he keeps backpedaling. When he sees this guy get vertical, he turns and matches him. So he's in the quarterback's throwing window. And he's also at the same time eyeballing the QB's eyes. When he sees the QB look over here, he gets over there. And I'm not sure if he got a deflection or a piece, but he's definitely influencing the play, right? Good job by the Mike, Blake Cashman, of just dropping back and playing in that hole. I think he expected his receiver to settle, and it didn't happen. Okay, single high. Are they going to rotate to 2 again? Yeah, they are. So this is something that's become pretty common now. We've seen this 3 times where they're going to rotate to cover 2 and send the corner to be the high half player, and the other safety goes across. Now, at this point, if I'm the Texans, I would kind of be expecting this because we really haven't seen, based on the plays that, this sample size, we really haven't seen any single high coverage. So you would imagine they've got to spin to cover 2 in some way, particularly in 2nd and 13. Right? It doesn't look like it's going to be cover 1. So I think at this point, play 139, the Texans should begin expecting this. Okay, let's see up front. They've got to do something interesting here to not know where the 4th is coming from, right? So they got 5 across the front right now. And they just bring the 1 from the far side, right? They bring Harrison Smith and let the linebacker drop off. Doesn't end up amounting to anything. They just win because a player wins inside. Nothing crazy here. No, they do stunt. It's the lead guy on the stunt who actually gets there. Right, 97 actually gets home. Right, he's able to get through there. He doesn't occupy because the guy lets him go. So he ends up being the free guy coming through now. Right, it's almost like the guard thinks he's going to get help from the center. But the center is wary of getting an inside move coming from this guy. And they get confused. And then he does stunt late. And he's able to influence the play. There it is. And back to the top. So, I mean, my 15-minute feeling on Brian Flores is that he's doing a lot of pre- and post-snap movement. He's doing a really good job disguising his blitzes and his coverages. He's playing a lot of 2-high cover 4 stuff that allows him to bring a 5th. A lot of 2-high cover 2 stuff where he disguises where the 4th guy is coming from. And a lot of stunts up front so that in passing downs, he's able to create pressure even if he's only going to bring a 4th and a cover 2 look. And he's going to rotate to his cover 2 to hopefully make the quarterback think for a little bit. And when the quarterback's forced to think, hey, I thought this was going to be 3 or 1, and now it's cover 4, now it's cover 2, hopefully that gives that long stick and 4-man rush a little more opportunity to get home. So, so far through 3 games, Brian Flores has done some really cool stuff, and it's all very sound as well. He's not just taking unusual chances for no reason. It's all very sound stuff. So if you're looking to break down some defense, I think watching the Vikings and Brian Flores might be a reasonable starting point.